To order. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Counselor Bohoviac? Present. Counselor Gowdy? Present. Counselor Smith? He's running a few minutes
He's
late.
running late.
Counselor Stevenson?
I don't know what her status is.
I didn't hear from her yet.
Okay.
Counselor Martin?
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Remarks of the public on the agenda items. You have 2 minutes on the agenda items only. Anyone that has anything you want to say about the agenda items on the agenda this evening? Going once? Going twice?
Let me ask online.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there anybody online that has any questions on agenda items only? Any residents online?
Okay,
Seeing
ma'am.
none? Go ahead,
We
Counselor.
have a quorum, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Remarks of the public on agenda items, we covered that. We have presentations from Hood Homes, Cuyahoga County Land Bank, Metro Parks, Bricker, and Eckler. I'm going to ask Mr. Smedley to introduce the entities, please.
Thank you, Council President.
Right. We're honored to have you here this evening.
Mr. Schneider, do you think you could leave one for Councilor Stevenson?
Counselor Bohoviac, is your speaker turned on?
It says it's on.
Okay, oh, now I heard you when you turned that way. Okay, all right, thank you.
It's not an acceptable sound system if I have to be looking at the microphone in the middle.
Let me see if I could turn them up.
Go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, Council. Welcome, residents. This meeting is probably one of the most important meetings in recent history for the city of East Cleveland. There has been significant time, effort, and resources and partnerships dedicated to the culmination of all of that into today. We have Hood Homes, who is an African-American developer from California, who has invested in the greater Cleveland area once before. He's looking to bring more of his resources and talents to the city of East Cleveland. And I know that project that he introduced, that project he introduced months ago was denied based on the opinions of the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. I'm here because I have spoken with Mr. Hood. I've negotiated with him over something extremely important. It is a declaration, an agreement between Hood Homes and the city of East Cleveland, and with respect to the deed restrictions that go along with every parcel that's sold in East Cleveland. That deed says that if there are no improvements made on that parcel reverts back to the ownership of the city of East Cleveland. As we know in the United States of America, that when you own a piece of real estate, and regardless of the reversion cost, you will litigate it because you own it. And it will cost the city a lot of money, and it will cost the owner a lot of money. What Mr. Hood has done to demonstrate his desire to work in the city of East Cleveland and his commitment to his own project, a commitment that he's demonstrated already with $250,000 currently invested without owning a piece of East Cleveland real estate. He has agreed to forego his right to litigate over the reversion clauses within the deed restrictions that are included when buying a piece of property from the city of East Cleveland. Which means, in practical sense, that however many parcels we sell to Mr. Hood, and the list of parcels, 12 pieces of real estate that we sell to him at a rate determined by Ohio Revised Code, which is the appraised value, any of that land, I don't know what that is, maybe it's my cell phone, excuse me, any of that land that can't be developed on, that he can't do the improvements that he has presented in many presentations. And we're going to resend his presentation to you prior to the next council meeting, that he will give that land back to the city of East Cleveland and walk away and forego his right to sue us when we want to initiate that portion of the restrictions in the deed. No other property owner ever in my 12 years in the city, no other, maybe it's the laptop. I can't figure it out.
Turn the speakers on. Turn the volume down on the speakers.
This is the system that I have no. I'm just gonna unplug it.
There's a new system.
I'm just gonna unplug it and
Go ahead.
I think my voice carries enough. And the folks who are going to be speaking, they are experienced. So it's not me. It's one of you with the cell phone.
It's already shut off. I already shut that speaker off.
Okay. No other respective property candidate has ever given up their right to sue over their ability to maintain ownership of a piece of property. Even when they promised to improve that land and did not. As a matter of fact, Mayor, if you remember, the apartment building, the vacant apartment building that exists next to your former residence council president, we asked council not to sell, not this class of council, but a couple of classes ago, we've asked you, based off of our investigation, we recommended that you not sell that building to that potential owner. And the council president at the time decided that that's what they wanted to do, beyond the advice that we had given, and council voted to sell it, and then he resold it. And today, this was 5 years ago, today the building is still vacant and abandoned. We, and our relationship with Mr. Hood and Hood Homes, especially with his commitment and signing a document waiving his legal rights. And we think that anything is fishy. We don't think that he can complete the project. If he fails to complete the project, and knowing the type of businessman that he is, if he can't complete the project, he will gladly give the land over. And if he doesn't gladly do it, we'll then use revisions that are in the deed restrictions without threat of going to court and having to litigate it. That, in my estimation, is a commitment like no other, and that's why I believe we should give Mr. Hood an opportunity to develop his project in East Cleveland, in Ward 2, so that we can begin and continue on the revitalization process that we've started. And we're going to hear a bit more about that when we talk about the...
So you want to go through the Cobb County Land Bank, the Metro Parks in Bricker and Eckler?
Yes, I just wonder if Mr. Hood has a couple of words.
Come up right now.
Mr. Hood, if you have a couple of words, that's fine, we move on. If you do, please come up to the podium.
Are we expecting to hear presentations from Mr. Smedley or from Mr.
No,
Moore?
I asked him to introduce them, okay, because he knows them better than I. Okay, so have Mr. Hood to come up, please. All right, Mr. Hood.
And he might just briefly.
Mr. Hood, I know this is your 4th or 5th time before.
And last, hopefully.
Go ahead, Mr. Hood.
Well, what I was,
Introduce.
first of all,
For
my
the
name
record,
is
give us
Gerald
your name.
Hood.
Okay.
I'm the manager of Hood Homes Development Group LLC, a group that was developed for the distinct purpose of help revitalizing East Cleveland. Hearing the agreement that Mike just spelled out, as a businessman, sounds insane for me to take part. But as I explained to him and the mayor, I'm committed to help revitalizing this city. As he said, I've already spent a sizable amount of money securing land in the area that I hope to develop, hope to be allowed to develop. And all of you know my plan, you've seen it. So basically, we want to take this street that north of the railroad tracks on Howard, that's completely abandoned. There's no no houses that people live in, and turn it into a gated community, building 25 houses that will display solar panels, geothermal heating and cooling, smart homes. We understand the perception of the crime in East Cleveland. This is the reason that we want to build these houses in a gated community, so that we can bring new homeowners into the area that we want to buy. Now, these houses will be more expensive than houses that are currently in the area, but we think with the gated community, all of the amenities that we're building into the houses, that we can justify those home prices.
Well, Mr. Hood, you stay right there. According to my agenda, I'm giving 5 to 10 minutes for questions. So it's I'm open up to the council. Yes, Ms. Brodak.
Mr. Woods, good to see you again. As you're aware, I am very thrilled with your concept, and when I first heard it, I was ready to try to sell houses for you. So I have it in the neighborhood. Since then, I've come up with 2 questions, neither of which came from me. I wasn't with it. One is, do you have plans for any sound control due to the proximity to the railroad tracks?
No, outside of the installation that because the installation that we're planning is much more than a normal house because of the fact that these are energy efficient houses. I have been on that street 12 midnight just dreaming and listening to the train roll by, and really I was astounded that it wasn't louder than it is. It's really all you really hear is the click, click, clack, 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 clack when they go across. You don't even really feel the vibration because, and I believe that's because the train is being elevated on that berm that you don't really hear a lot of the train.
Frankly, I grew up spending my summers in southeastern Minnesota near some railroad tracks, and I never quite understood the people who got so hot and bothered. The second question, again, one that was brought to me by someone else. To the best of our knowledge, you've never completed any single building.
What do you mean?
Yet,
In East Cleveland?
anywhere.
Oh, of course I have. Yeah, I've done a lot of development in Los Angeles, California.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that? Just so I can pass it on to my schedule friends.
Well, most of it has been residential, and most of it has been, most of the projects I've done has been refurbishing, but we have built from the ground. We have a small project in Yosemite, California, which is close to Magic Mountain, where a family of mine, me and my family members built 3 houses in a row. That was probably back in 2003, but home development I have done.
And what was your role in that?
Everything from design to sourcing materials, and I got my hands dirty a little bit. You know, I'm efficient in tile laying. I do electrical work, some plumbing, and I'm really good at tile.
Mostly painting.
Yeah, but mostly I'm the one directing. I'm more of a leader, so to speak.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Juanita, you got any questions?
I really don't really have any question. He already had proved his point when he first came, and he showed us paperwork, and he showed, and I even called the loan people to make sure that he could get the money, and I did my investigation, so hey, welcome. Whatever you can do to make the city better, we welcome you, thank you.
Okay, and I'll say that we need to get through this agenda. Near the end of the agenda, there's remarks from the public, so.
Sure. I'll try to keep it moving, Council President.
I wanted to ask one question. Are you doing anything with these houses with solar?
Yeah.
Okay. Just elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, like I said, these houses will be standard with solar panels, as well as charging stations. I don't know if you guys are aware, but one of the biggest car makers in the United States, Ford Motor Company, just released their all-electric pickup truck, which is the #1 seller in the United States. So these houses will have charging stations in them, as well as geothermal heating and cooling. I don't know if you understand what that is, but that is that will allow you to cool and heat your house for at least 50% cheaper than it costs for a traditional HVAC system.
Thank you. Mr. Hood, stick around because the public may have questions. Okay? Mike, let's go to,
We're making good time. It's 5:23.
Cuyahoga County Land Bank,
Yes.
Gus Francos,
Yes.
and Dennis Robinson.
Yes.
All right?
Now, folks, bear with me because I have to tell you the origination of the relationship between the land bank and the city of East Cleveland. Now, Mr. Francos and Mr. Roberts, they hate when I do it because it's long-winded. They just like to get in and, get to the point and get some work done. But, since we're here in council, there's folks who are probably watching at home, people probably don't know the history. Back in, I think it was 2009, when they solidified the creation of the Cuyahoga County Land Bank. We were working with residents, Noah, Travail, to bring the county land bank to the city of East Cleveland. And it impacted an election at that time because 2009 was an election year and it impacted that election. Now, I argue that we're the first community to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, the first community to be recruited by the Cuyahoga County Land Bank. Now, somebody in Shaker, they may think differently, but I know and Gus knows that East Cleveland was the first community to sign an agreement. As a matter of fact, we had a ceremonial signing at Windermere Baptist Church. I think it was in the middle of December and a snowstorm. Residents came from all around the city, the leadership of the land bank, which included at the time our county council representative Cheryl Stevens. As a matter of fact, that was prior to our current mayor, Mayor King, being in politics, and he did the ushering at this meeting, a historic meeting, I might add. So we went through all the ceremonial stuff, we signed the agreement, and that was at a point where we had probably close to 4,000 vacant and abandoned structures in the city of East Cleveland. 4,000 vacant and abandoned structures in the city of East Cleveland. And that relationship, not just a business relationship, but that friendship, that interpersonal relationship turned into a friendship, turned into a kindred relationship where that organization and their leaders think about East Cleveland before they think about other communities with respect to certain issues, particularly when it comes to brownfields, cleaning up hazardous sites, demolition, and things like that, right? That relationship, we produced over 1,000 demolitions in the city of East Cleveland. That relationship led to the first market rate development in recent memory in the city of East Cleveland called Circle East. Circle East, 22 units with 2 bedrooms, 2-car garage, rental units owned by University Circle Inc. and the Finch Group. Not only did they put money in the demolition to help clear the area, they took some of their federal funds and put it into the project itself to allow for that project to be realized. So that relationship was perfect. East Cleveland had vacant properties. We had a partner that could do demolitions, and they were doing them at a pace unheard of in the state of Ohio. Probably unheard of in the country. They were moving at a heck of a pace throughout Cuyahoga County. Now in Cuyahoga County, the city of Cleveland, the city of East Cleveland had the most number of vacant and abandoned structures, particularly at that time. What we began to do as that relationship grew, we began to take in land in the area closest to University Circle. actually all over the city, but particularly in that area because we knew that that will be the first place where development will occur that will be transformative. Now, you can do a development project here and there, but transformative. That was the area. I got a call in 2014 by Gus Franco. You know, Gus has a job. He gets a paycheck every 2 weeks, like the rest of us, right? I hope so too. He gets a paycheck like so. Whether he does anything in East Cleveland or not, he's still going to get the same pay. With that kind of thinking, Gus said, "Hey, I see what you guys are doing in East Cleveland. I see that you're amassing land. I think it's one of the largest masses that are in Cuyahoga County, and I want to help you guys develop it." He could have went to 58 other municipalities inside of Cuyahoga County, but he came to East Cleveland. He came to East Cleveland because I think, and I never asked him, I think it's about legacy. It's about what you've done professionally all your life. It culminates to the day that you retired. And what did you leave behind? Right? And I believe Gus's sincerity and his experience will allow for us to create a space where people who can live anywhere in Cuyahoga County will choose to live in the city of East Cleveland through this project. And I want to bring up Dennis to talk about that and to talk about the cost of the project and what not only the Cuyahoga County Land Bank expect, but all the partners who are involved in this area, what they expect. They expect us to put skin in the game, right? We have to have skin in the game, and Dennis is going to talk about what the project is and what kind of skin in the game the city needs to add.
Right, and if Gus can come up with you two, bring them both up. Come on.
Point of order.
Yes,
Just to clarify, Mr. Smedley, Windermere was a United Methodist Church and not a Baptist church. Not important to everybody, but important.
I don't know if I said Baptist or not. Did I say Baptist? I said Windermere Church.
okay, well,
Okay. Correction, residents. Windermere Methodist Church.
United Methodist.
When the historic event occurred that brought these two entities together.
okay. Gus Franco and
I think could result in a holy war there. It wasn't Presbyterian, maybe?
It could have been Lutheran.
United Methodist, sorry.
United Methodist, all right. I'll be very quick because you've heard me make my presentation in the past. I appreciate that Mike has said that over the
speak up,
years.
can you hear Gus? Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate that Mike characterized our relationship as going beyond professional, but also a relationship of friendship. Because when we started the Cuyahoga Land Bank, everybody was wondering, what kind of organization going to be. Once people get started, they kind of default to where the wealth is, or they default to where it's easiest. And it was not a coincidence that East Cleveland was the first community that we signed a memorandum of understanding. It was not Shaker, it was East Cleveland. So I don't know who's spreading that rumor out there, but it was East Cleveland. But in all seriousness, it was to make the statement that we're here to perform a mission. And that mission in 2009 is the same today. The mission is to stabilize communities, to uplift areas that have suffered great disinvestment. And so that from 2009 to now, we continued, we're still here, we continue that focus, and that eventually resulted in assembling this large, the city asked us to try to assemble and hold as a trusted steward all of that land in roughly a 33-acre target area. And we felt back then, and as I feel now, that being just a few hundred feet away from some of the wealthiest institutions, that this needs to be an area that becomes transformed, that doesn't get piecemealed out in a way that just kind of keeps the status quo. But this area, I believe, will be transformative, and I'm committed to it. I've told you that 100 times in the past, at private meetings, at public meetings, because we feel, number one, that that's our mission. Number two, we do feel that land like this has great latent value, and you're starting to see it now. There's no other direction where some of the large institutions can go but here. So we appreciate the city's trust in us in being that good steward, and we hope that we're living up to that. To do development in an area like this with like just tons and tons of individual lots, as opposed to like one big lot, it requires long-term assemblage. And again, we are committed to this. Mike talked about skin in the game. Our skin in the game is that we've been cutting the lots, we've been mowing them, we've been acquiring, we've been insuring them, and that's all at our expense because we believe in this. If we didn't believe in it, we just wouldn't be making those resources available. Forgot my train of thought. But the bottom line is that we went from assembling the lots and to a point where now we've done some studies. We've been able to get some developers interested, and so I think people are now starting to see the vision, and that's the way Scripture speaks. The people perish without a vision, and so it's vision that has created what it is that we're doing here. But that vision is going beyond the vision and to where we're actually doing stuff now. And so I think that when we look back 5 years from now, we're going to see an area in East Cleveland that people are going to be proud of. People are not going to talk about East Cleveland as the largest disinvested community in the state. They're going to talk about a community on the rise. And it starts, you can't do everything overnight, but it starts in this area, I believe. So Dennis is going to, if Mr. Chairman, if you permit,
come up.
Mr. Roberts will go ahead and share a lot of the details because he's done a lot of the work along with Ms. Camilla Lewis, who was here at the last meeting. She's our project manager.
Well, let Dennis do it, then I'm open to the council to ask questions. Go ahead, Dennis.
Sure. There's a presentation available. I'm not sure if it can be seen. It's here. So,
Hold on one
You
second.
got a PowerPoint?
yes, it's the
Oh, okay.
PowerPoint that
I think we got it. Okay, go ahead.
I'll run through it very quickly. Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before you, council, mayor, chief of staff. Again, my name is Dennis Roberts, director of real estate development for Cuyahoga County. Here to talk to you today about the East Cleveland Development Project. In a way of background very quickly, Case Western Reserve in Cleveland State did some studies years ago, back in 2015, I think 2018. They basically concluded that this was an area that was worth investing in for the city and that ultimately we would be a good entity for the city to work with. So what we're doing now is effectuating the advice that was given in those studies. This is the area, for those who may be less familiar or may not be here present. It's bounded on the western side on Lakeview, goes all the way on the eastern side to Farmington, down to Forest Hills, up to the railroad tracks is about 33 developable acres. The blue represents the properties that are currently owned by the Cuyahoga Land Bank. The green represents properties that are in a municipal land bank. The reason I say municipal because part of the area is actually in the city of Cleveland. So we've been working concurrently with the city to make sure all this development activity occurs at the same time and occurs in a way that's in alignment with their interests as well. Overarching goals for the project, we want to create something that's unique, something that's inclusive. Our goal is to attract people who have choices to move to East Cleveland, in addition to making East Cleveland better for those people who have been living here for many years. Finally, we want to complement the residential development with something that's vibrant. It's called a vibrant commercial corridor. Guiding principles, very important. From the very beginning, we recognize in order for this project to be successful, we have to have something at scale. Meaning 1 and 2 homes will not do it. It's not going to be enough to be transformative. It's not going to be enough to be catalytic. So everything that we've done to date has been positioning us to do something that's large and that's significant. We recognize that we're making a market. Part of making it large and significant is new infrastructure. Many of you have been on these streets, new roads, new sidewalks, new lights. That's what we mean by new infrastructure, including fiber. So you can get on your phone, you can run it efficiently and quickly if you live here in this area. I think the residents who live here deserve that as well. And then finally, not forgetting about the existing residents. There's some particular strategies that we have employed, that we're employing now, to protect them from those negative aspects of development that sometimes occur, and I'll talk about that momentarily. Project elements, I think I've talked about it at a high level. New homes, new infrastructure. The only thing I did not mention is the way we plan to kick the project off on the corner of Woodlawn and Euclid is with two signature properties. One is the Mickey's building, which you'll see momentarily. Then across the street, if we're able to bring on a private developer, perhaps the construction of a market rate apartment building or whatever else would be appropriate after we go through the planning process. The budget, overall, the estimate for the project is about 122 million, so it's a very, very large project. In broad strokes, to your right, infrastructure, 33 million. Again, what does that include? New roads, new sidewalks, new streets, new lights. All these things cost a lot of money. New signage, right? It costs money. These estimates primarily are from OHM, which is the engineering firm that's on retainer from with the city of East Cleveland. Commercial redevelopment, that's about 25 million, which represented in that number, basically, the Mickey's project, which I'll talk to you in detail, is about 3.5 million in order to bring that project online and make it viable for a business to create jobs. The other portion of it is our best estimate of what it would take to build a 64-unit apartment building. We got that information based upon talking to developers. The largest area is residential redevelopment, 60 million. That's not the money that would come from the city, that's the money that would come from area developers. In order to build a home, you gotta bring money to the table. This is what builders and developers do. The money that they bring to the table times the number of homes that we anticipate being built will equal roughly 60 million. And then finally, placemaking. Placemaking is all the little things that one sees that makes you feel good about our neighborhood. If you ever go somewhere and you just feel good about it, it might be the flowers that are hanging, or it might be the lighting, it might be the decorative gates, it might be all these little things that are creating and signaling to you that this is a nice place for you to be, including community engagement, which costs money. If you want to get people involved, you want to get people to really care, that costs money, hence $1 million. And pre-development, Gus talked about it earlier, the land bank has been involved in this project for years, spent millions of dollars, and that's what's in the pre-development category, including what we plan to spend this year. Finally, at a high level, in regard to economic impact, $60 million in property value, increase in annual tax base, I won't read it to you, a number of new jobs. The jobs primarily are flowing from what we will believe will happen in the Mickey's building. The Mickey's building is about 25,000 square feet. We believe, and have good reason to believe, that we'll be able to find a firm that will create high-paying jobs in that facility. Community engagement, we have not forgot how important it is to engage with the community. One of the things that we did from the very beginning is we're literally going door to door in the target area. We've gone to about 16 homes particularly and actually surveyed what are some of the things that we can do in terms of helping people improve their homes. We received 2 grants that we applied for. One, $100,000 from the state of Ohio, and 2, we received a $25,000 grant from the McGregor Foundation so we can use to help people make certain types of repairs to their homes, porches, siding, windows, etc. In addition to that, we've connected with Western Reserve Area Agency because they have money that they need to spend and to make properties more accessible. So if we go into a property and we determine that Ms. Johnson, for example, has something that our money cannot fund, but Western Reserve Area Agency has funding that can fund it, again, we're connecting people to appropriate resources so they can get what they need ultimately. Phases, how are we going to do it? This is a huge project, it's a big elephant. We're going to do it in steps, all right? Keep it very simple. Our goal this year is to get Mickey's building, start the renovation. That's what you should see this year. The other piece in about 60 days is the demolition of the Burgundy building to the west of the Mickey's building. That will come down. That's the first 2 things you'll see this year, assuming all the funding comes forth. The funding comes forth. The second thing you will see next year is the infrastructure on Woodlawn. New water, new sewer, new lights, etc. That's our goal next year, to deal with the infrastructure, followed by, in the beginning of 2023, the construction of the first new homes. The land bank is already committed itself. It's already in our budget to build at least 5 of those new homes ourselves. So we're going to jumpstart the market no matter what it takes. Just so you know, we're not doing this in a vacuum. we have met and or have applied for money for almost every agency that I can think of. This is just a list. And just to give you an example, we've already secured $1.5 million grant from Jobs Ohio. We work very, very closely with Team Neo. That's how we've been finding potential tenants for the Mickey's building. We meet with them every 2 weeks. We work very closely with Cuyahoga County. We have a $950,000 loan request from the county now for the Mickey's building. Not only have we worked with those agencies, we're working on infrastructure. So this infrastructure cost, we're working with the Northeast Ohio Sewer District, Cleveland Water, and the Port Authority, we just wrote a grant for them. Every entity that will basically support this project in any way possible, we're asking them for our support. That's the only way a project of this size could possibly get done. One entity is not going to invest $122 million. But we're here today for you, so you can get that opportunity to show everybody your level of commitment for this project. Again, Land Bank, by the end of this year, will have over $3.3 million invested in this project. You can see the categories in which it's broken out: demolition, acquisition, planning, etc. Phase 1, you can see it, is Woodlawn. Again, our goal, 2023, start the development of the housing. 2023, infrastructure, the following year, start the housing on Woodlawn, and then move east. We talked a little bit about what infrastructure means. I think I've handled that. Everything from widening the sidewalks where possible to 5 feet. In some areas we won't be able to do that. Tree lawns at 4 feet, that's based upon recommendations from our planners. Here's a breakdown of the cost for your infrastructure, at least for the initial phase. Put it very simply, what we're looking for from the city in total is about $4 million. About $2 million, half of that is for infrastructure, which is a central city function, period. If the city wants new roads, new sidewalks, green space, trees, $2 million. We think that it's critical because we're competing with our neighbors next door, right on Wade Park. They're selling homes over there for $250,000, $220,000, some $300,000. Why would a person move to East Cleveland? We have to give them a reason to move to East Cleveland because you have better roads, lights, streets, access to the cemetery, etc. So we have to take advantage of the amenities that you do have and upgrade the infrastructure in order for this project to be successful. This is the way the Mickey's building looks currently, for those of you who may be less familiar with it. 1949 old car dealership. So we're gonna bring this thing back to life. And this is what we aspire to do. This drawing was put together by our commercial architects, RDL, and we believe if we get the investment that we're seeking, we'll be able to put this building back together the way it's described or shown in this particular photo. What you see in the bottom half essentially is that building in the context of a market rate apartment building. Again, this is just a rendering. This assumes we can raise the money and also assumes that we can find a developer who's willing to take the necessary economic risk to make it happen. Again, finally, on this slide is a source of funding. Just as a reminder, Jobs Ohio is willing to put a grant in for the Mickey's building for $1.5 million, as long as we can match it. We have already put $500,000 into the Mickey's building in terms of acquiring it. We have a loan into the county now for $950,000. All right. What we're seeking from this body today and over the next coming weeks is $500,000 for the Mickey's building. I'll summarize the ask at the end, but I just want to give you the components so you understand.
Okay.
All right. The residential, again, it's 200 homes plus. We're not necessarily looking to create necessarily the least expensive homes. We're trying to do a combination of homes that are affordable and also aspirational, because our goal is to protect the people that are currently here and at the same time attract those folks who have options to move into other communities. In order to do that, we're going to have certain things. We're going to have aspirational housing, innovation, and amenities. The other portion of the money that we're asking from the city of East Cleveland is for buyer subsidy. At the end of the day, anybody who's building a house right now is probably spending roughly $300,000 total project cost, right? If we're going to sell a house for $220,000 plus a tax abatement to get it relatively affordable, somebody has to subsidize. So what we're asking for from the city today is $1.4 million, so we're in position to subsidize a group of those homes. We believe it's going to be critically essential to subsidize the first homes because people are just not going to believe that it's real. The land bank, in effect, is subsidizing you indirectly because we're going to build 5 on our dime. But we're hoping that you come with your portion of the investment so we can continue our success. Again, here's the summary. It's the most important sheet. Where is the $4 million going? Again, 2.1 is infrastructure. That's a core city function. Nobody else is going to pay for infrastructure.
Right.
Residential construction subsidy. If you want people to be able to buy homes at an affordable rate, you got to subsidize it. That's the 1.4. The 500,000, that's for the Mickey's building. That's in order to create this gateway, create excitement so people can believe and they can see that this is real. That's your investment. Finally, this is what the expect it could look like in the future. Again, on the left you see the Mickey's building, hopefully the creation of 33 jobs. On the right is a rendering of a market rate apartment building that we hope to be able to entice the developer to ultimately build. And then behind it you can see the development of single family homes. So I'm available for questions. I ran through that kind of.
We're going to go to questions now. I'll go to my right this time to be clear. We'll start with.
Before you go, let's make one comment on this. This is a $122 million project. Our skin in the game is $4 million.
Okay.
That's about 3% of the total cost of the project. 3%. 3% of a $122 million project. That's our skin in the game.
Well,
3%.
Mike, okay, Dennis and Gus, we'll start with Ernest. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to thank you all for your commitment to the great city of East Cleveland. Could you elaborate on, you had started to speak on it, about the residents that are still there?
Yeah, sure. So it's
I think you.
Some back there.
It's two approaches. One, as I mentioned, we've already raised $125,000 and we're looking for money. What we're doing, literally, we've already gone door to door, sometimes with a city East Cleveland representative, sometime with a representative from the city of Cleveland, because a portion of the target area is in Famico's target area. The reason we're going door to door, we're doing a couple things. One, telling people about the project, and two, surveying their needs in terms of rehab needs exterior that we're able to fund. So right now we have, scopes of work for about 16 homes where we know, all right, Ms. Johnson needs a new porch or a new siding. Now what we're going to attempt to do is, if we have the funding, we're ultimately going to hire a contractor and see if we can put up to $10,000 per house, for Ms. Johnson. If we don't have the funding, we're going to look for it the best that we can. That's sort of the first thing. The other thing is, there's an organization in town called CMP who's been working on what they call loop legislation. Essentially what loop legislation is, it's state law, it needs to be state law, that has the effect of capping the property taxes of people who live next door to new developments. Basically, it protects their property taxes from rising too quickly or going too high. That legislation has not passed, but we are supporters of it, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that bill gets drafted and ultimately gets passed by the Ohio Assembly. So that's our primary thrust.
But let me add to that. When you increase the value of someone's home, and when you do that without unfettered, most people in that situation, particularly the seniors who live in this community, they can't afford the property tax.
Right.
So
Right.
it's the property tax that forces them out. And people call it gentrification.
Right.
With this piece of legislation and our move to get it passed, the capping of the property tax doesn't cap the value of the house. So the value of the house will raise, the property tax will get capped, and from the current value to the new value is all the equity that they now have. So they're developing wealth in this project. So Ms. Johnson, who's owned her home for about 40 years, is probably paid off, but she can only get about $25,000, $30,000 from it. If we are successful in building this new neighborhood, I guarantee it'll go 4 or 5 times its current value. All of that can be captured if the property taxes are capped, and that wealth
goes directly to Ms. Johnson and her descendants. So not only are we building to allow new folks to come and live into our great city, and we're going to hear what one of the most important amenities are after this presentation, but we're going to help our residents develop wealth, because the capping of those property taxes and the increased value based off of building a new neighborhood around it allows for people to actually change their lives as it happens. So you can help residents build wealth, and you can encourage new people to become residents.
Well, you're right on point. Mr. Smith, any more questions?
No, sir, thank you.
My concern, and you addressed it, is gentrification. And I spoke with a young lady today about it. We have to make sure that this loop legislation is going to work. And we have to make sure that people who've been here for 30, 40 years and their property may not be worth $300,000, $350,000, that they're protected. That's my concern.
Let me speak to that.
Go ahead.
Most people may not know, but some people do. We are a predominantly African American community in northern Ohio, in the Democratic stronghold of Cuyahoga County. 17,000 residents, median income about 21,000. We have in Cuyahoga County the strongest relationship with the state government. Mr. DeWine been in this town several times. More times than East Cleveland, he's been to Cleveland Heights, South Euclid, Woodmere, Solon, put together. He and his administration has invested more money in the city of East Cleveland than any previous governor that I'm aware of in recent memory. That $1.5 million that Dennis is talking about comes from Jobs Ohio. It's the relationship that Governor DeWine built for us. That $1.5 million is coming from that relationship. Euclid Avenue, that resurfacing is a state project that Governor DeWine pushed ahead of schedule. The broadband that you see, PCs for People and other organizations like that, that first kickoff, Councilman Martin, I think you were there, at Mayfair, that was courtesy of Governor DeWine in the state of Ohio. So this legislation, we believe strongly that when we go and say, hey, this is East Cleveland's ask, we believe the governor is going to support it. He's a Republican who is spending money in the Democratic stronghold of Cuyahoga County in an all-black, predominantly black community. You would think, why in the heck would he spend his efforts, time, and energy in a city like ours? Because we have the ability, one, we have a great mayor who is highly respected, and if you don't know it, dual master degree, worldly individual, ability to build great relationships, and those relationships have resulted in these investments. I know people frown about it, politics aside, that's exactly what has happened. So the governor, who's a Republican, Christian conservative, gun-toting Republican, right, is supporting a predominantly black, poor community in the Democratic stronghold of Ohio. That says a lot. And he continues to do it because the outside world now believes that we have a stable government. And that's the work that Councilman Martin, that you're leading with your fellow councilors. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Juanita Gotti.
I mean, I really didn't have too much, but I see that you going all the way down to Wadena, all the way down to, but Roslyn and Roslyn need to be done too. I mean, I know that y'all pick and choose the streets, and we didn't get a chance to do none of that.
So let me explain. From Roslyn to Roxbury, right, it's really the unofficial historic district. It doesn't have an official designation, but those properties were individually architected.
Okay.
The original owners went out and found renowned architects to design those properties. Now, if you go to a development, let's say out in Solon, $600,000, $700,000 homes. 40, 50, 100 of them built. One guy, really, one firm is designing those homes. And you get about 5 or 6 different models, right? But they're huge, they're beautiful, the streets are new, they're tree lawn, but they have no character like the house that you live in, Councilor Gowdy. The house that you live in has more character. If they recreate the house that you live in, it'll cost close to $1 million. That's the type of character and quality that will put in the construction of those homes. So we want to preserve that as best we can. Now you see we do spot demolition on those streets because some of them have gone so bad they're in such disrepair they can't be saved. But what we do is ensure that the residents who live next door to those lots can get those lots to increase their lawn size. And Councilor Gowdy, you have a lot next to you, and I encourage you to increase the size of your property because that's the strategy. And it is legal as long as you follow the same process as everybody.
No problem.
So we're not wholesale doing demos on those streets because we need to preserve that character. You can't get rid of all of
And
it.
what about Garfield? I mean, Garfield is out of school, you know.
Actually, there's a developer who owns most of the stuff on that street. And development, don't really expect any leapfrog. You know, developers aren't going to jump over the most attractive area in the city of East Cleveland to go to a lesser desirable area. So once we complete this project with your help, you're going to see the development going from west to east. It's going to get to Superior. It's going to get to Belmore, which we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. All the way up to Noble Road, back down in the Hayden area. But we have to start somewhere. This is our best chance of jump-starting the revitalization of the city. And this $4 million is 3% of what everyone else must put in order to make it work.
Okay.
Okay.
Patricia Bloviak?
My first comment goes to Mr. Smedley, and the only one that's going to go to Mr. Smedley.
No, you're going to get a question, Dennis, trust me.
Yeah.
You're going to get at least one.
But you discussed all the visits from Governor DeWine, and I would like to ask that you request that Governor DeWine, the next time you speak to him, that he give us our local government funds back.
Rainy day fund.
As our representative, Ken Smith, often states, it's a rainy day in East Cleveland. We could use that money.
So
But that's the only thing to you, and
that's not a question, it's more of a statement. No reply necessary.
no, it's a request.
It's a request.
Okay, so
Yes.
back to the land bank. The compliment comes at the end. I'm saving the thing that you'll like the best as for the end. I got a phone call today from a resident who asked that you be prepared to give a presentation to the community, one that is specially designed for the community. And in association with that, I would ask you if you had spoken with the president of the Neighborhood Association, Mr. Ross Parkfield. You have?
No.
No, you haven't.
Can I speak to that?
Yeah, go
As a
ahead.
matter of fact, we were in a phone conversation today. No, come on back up, Dennis. I'm not. These guys stand. We were talking about presenting to the community just this afternoon. We're on shooting emails back and forth to KUA, Cronenberg Urban Architects, they're doing the design. It's not necessarily a traditional design.
Site plan.
It's a site plan. So no one does grand master plans anymore. They do target area plans. As a matter of fact, we did a target area plan with the help of Noah and Mark Chuck back in, I think, 2014. So all of this is leading up to all of this. So we plan to have them in the community twice. One, before they finish, so that they can hear from residents in the community, and two, when they finish, so that you can see what that plan is based off of your involvement in it.
What happened to before they started?
Well,
What happened to before they started?
but before they started, there was a target area plan that was done. community was involved in that. There was,
I live in the target area, I don't remember hearing about that at all.
well, I mean, it was a major thing. It has renderings. It has a whole. We'll find it and get you a copy of it because many people were involved. That then went to the visioning plan that Cleveland State helped us do, which then culminates in that, which the community was completely involved. So what they did was they had taken what the community had said and began to design a site plan. But do they have it right? We don't know. So before they're finished, they need to come back to the community so that we can see. But we had to get this started because time is of the essence. We can't push this out to 2025, 26, 27. We have no idea of what the market is going to be like there. We have to take advantage of what the atmosphere is today. And if we blow this opportunity, I don't think it's going to come back anytime soon. Well, yes, the community is going to be
So why
involved.
don't you let us get on to the next?
I'm sorry?
Why don't you let us get on to the next part of it and have a seat, please?
I may have to answer the next question.
I was looking at this, which is, I don't know what page because it's not numbered, but it's a bunch of housing designs, which I presume are something that you're thinking of putting in my neighborhood.
No. What those are homes that we have already built in other neighborhoods or homes that are being built right now. It's there to let you know that the land bank already has the capability to build homes because we're building them.
Okay, that's good because this is not consistent with the architecture in my neighborhood, which is part of Tyler.
We would have to go through the city approval process, design review, and that's how that would be done.
Architecture review board, the whole.
Excuse me, Mr. Smith.
You excuse.
Please sit down. We talked about the historic nature of the neighborhood. My home was originally occupied by members of the family of the Austin Company, once the largest design build architectural firms in the world that built not only Miller Park and Standard Oil, they built for the film industry in California. They built an entire community in Nizhny Novgorod. They were quite extensive, and I'm pleased to hear that this is not what you're planning for my neighborhood, because it's not consistent with what I expected.
Duly noted.
Okay, we gotta move on.
I have another question, and I will answer.
Okay, ask your last question, but it's the last one. Okay. Go ahead.
The last time that you were here, I asked for some information about the transactions of the Cuyahoga County Land Bank. And to say that I was pleased would be a massive understatement. I got details and it was arranged and I could look at it and I could search it and I could rearrange it so that it emphasized what I wanted to look for. And I was absolutely thrilled. The only problem with it doesn't come from you, but the last time that I was in a council meeting with Mr. Smedley, I said, since there are some parts of this, there are large parts that say demolished, not acquired, and they say municipality, that this information would be much more useful to me if I had the same information about the East Cleveland Land Bank. And Mr. Smedley promised me that he would get me that information. I did send him an email which gave him the details of what I had asked the county land bank for. And I'm hoping to hear from him about that. But as I said, I could not have been more impressed with not only the fact that you gave it to me, which is something in itself, not only the fact that it came quickly, which is also something I don't normally expect, but just, and the amount and the detail, and there were separate parts that emphasized different aspects of, it was really nice. Thank you.
We take customer service very seriously. We take this project very seriously. Thank you.
Just do it every time.
Okay, before you, Dennis, before you sit down, I got one more question, we gotta move on. Go ahead.
Dennis, how you doing? And I thank you for all the hard work that y'all trying to bring into East Cleveland, and I am looking forward to that in my ward. But I do want to inform my residents residents, I do, and I just wanna know when can you be available, because I do have board meetings. I got one coming up on the 3rd.
You want to pass those on?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
So, whenever you're available, and just like you, Mr. Hood, you know, I would like to schedule y'all in so they can have a meeting in my, you know, because I got a new location.
Congratulations.
And I would like the residents to hear what y'all are talking about, because a lot of them don't do Zoom and they can't.
All right, thank
If
you.
you can encourage Mr. Smedley to get that information.
Thank you.
Then there's no encouragement necessary. We have a team working on it.
Okay, Mike.
To be as voluminous and as detailed as yours.
Okay, Mike.
Yes.
The next young man,
Research.
I saw him come in, and I think he's excited to be in East Cleveland.
So,
Introduce him.
I will
Okay,
introduce
he's
you.
excited to be here.
So, before, and many of these folks in this room, Dennis, come shut your thing down. So there has been a discussion in this community that's been going on for quite a while. Very long time. A good 10, 12 years, maybe 13 years. This community was endowed with one of the most spectacular pieces of green space, I believe, in the state of Ohio, by the founders of the city of East Cleveland. Over the years, and as East Cleveland has changed, the ability to properly manage it has diminished to a degree that we expect the Forest Hill Parks Association, which is a nonprofit not funded by the city of East Cleveland, to spend significant time and resources to do what the city should be doing, and should have been doing. But over the years, the discussions had led to what is the best way to provide this resource to the community and to the outside world. And we've always talked about one of the most spectacular park systems, park operators in the United States of America. I think they just got a grant and a major award. And I'm sure Brian can talk about it. The Cleveland Metro Parks, bar none, is the best in managing, restoring, providing green space to a community that I believe we will ever have an opportunity to partner with. We talked about it for about 12 years. Some people said, hey, we can't do it. We can't do it because they're going to own the park. They're going to take the park. I have never seen a park managing system pick up earth from one community and take it clear across town to another community. Right? Never seen it. So doesn't matter who manages it, we don't lose the park. But it does matter who manages it to restore it and provide green space that East Cleveland then becomes a destination. If you look at the parks that are managed by the Metro Park people who, in the communities where they exist, people from outside the community come every day. Rain, sleet, snow, summer, day after day after day after day, far and wide, coming to that green space managed by the Metro Parks, knowing that they're going to get an amenity that is like no other. Now, our park is better than all of those.
Yes, yes, yes.
Everything is a distant second to Forest Hills Park. You can ask these folks right here, they'll tell you. And it is the best park in the state of Ohio. We have the least best managing apparatus for the best park in the state. And I'm not ashamed to say, it's the city of East Cleveland. We are not good park managers. We are not good at restoring parks. We do not have the resources. Simply do not. We do not have running water in a park. But we have a boathouse and water fountains and restrooms that go unused. That's a basic staple for any park, particularly the size of park that Forest Hills Park is. So that discussion about metro parks, should they manage it, could they manage it, would they manage it, will we allow them to manage it, has culminated to a point where in February, I think it was February, March of this year, we had a meeting in which you, Council President, attended, and the former Council President, Corinne Stevens, participated with Brian, his team, and his board. Half the board are already partners of the city of East Cleveland. Deborah Berry from UCI, Cheryl Stevens participated. We had a couple of other elected officials. Our area wants to see this happen, not just the city of East Cleveland. This is an opportunity for us to partner with an institution that manages parks. Almost every park that's worth going to in Cuyahoga County is managed by the Metro Parks. But most important, not only is it simply about putting a park back online, it's creating a destination. People will come to East Cleveland for that park. I'll give you an example. University Circle probably spends about $30–40 billion a year. Major institutions, hospitals, universities, arts, culture, all of that. If you go to University Circle right now, it's dead. You want to know why? Because it's not a destination place. It has all kinds of amenities. 5-star restaurants. It has Wade Over Wednesdays. It has science centers. It has everything, all in that 1 square mile. But if you go there right now, nobody's there. That's why they have to do Wade Over Wednesdays, just to get people to come back to that area. Restoring this park, East Cleveland itself become a destination. And they're coming from east, west, north, south, which means that we then have to provide amenities for those folks, which allows for businesses to prosper and businesses to be created. And living in a community with that kind of green space only makes it more attractive for the project that we're working on. It's all linked together. Mr. Zimmerman, and I call him Brian, but Mr. Zimmerman is going a step further. We have and have had in this community, in the central area of the city, a vacant and abandoned high-rise that you can see from Lake Erie. Literally, you can see it from if you can see Lake Erie from that building, Lake Erie can see you. Right? It has been an albatross around the city's neck. And for those who don't know, the city has never owned the building. Ever owned the building. We never owned it, we never transferred it, we never did any of those things. It's always been in private hands. But Mr. Zimmerman, he'll tell the story himself, he was driving around East Cleveland, he saw the high rise, he saw how it connects to the park, and he called the mayor, he said, Mayor, what if we take down that high rise? What if we extend that park across and get as close to Euclid as possible? What if we can do that? And we were sort of astonished, dumbfounded, yeah, but I don't know how we get that done. And I'm gonna stop here, and I'll let Mr. Zimmerman tell you.
Bring him up, come on, Brian.
Come on up, Mr. Zimmerman.
Come on.
Members of council, mayor, members of the committee. I almost forgot why I was here while he was going. But then I realized it was all about the park. Someone argued that it's a century in the making. I do want to level set, and I almost never read, but there's a quote from Rockefeller himself, which I think is purposeful before we begin my at least 5 minutes.
Take 7.
I'll take less than 5. John D. Rockefeller noted that the plan was prepared from the point of view of one who loves nature, one who knows well how to make available without spoiling them, nature's beauty and charm. That says a lot about what he thought about this piece of property. been entrusted in East Cleveland's hands for a long period of time. I came from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was number 2 in charge of a 15,000 acre park system, came here in 2010. Conversations began almost immediately. We could go to Cleveland State, the Levin College of Urban Affairs had done studies. I'll fast forward all the way to 2018 and the conversations we had with the McGregor Foundation, being a neighbor of the park, really trying to understand, and I'll take one step back. When I got here, the lakefront was a huge priority, meaning Edgewater, Villa Angela, Euclid, Wildwood, Gordon. That was a priority to bring those online into the fold of Metro Parks. Why I bring that up is because it was a lease. It was a long-term lease with the state of Ohio. They had 35 years in, they had 15 years left to go. We did an assessment, very similar to the one that was done, the analysis of Forest Hills Park. We had a conversation about what it would take to restore it. And we were able to secure from Governor Kasich's administration almost $15 million to bring the park back online. Now that wasn't quite enough. We spent over 20 million, probably closer to 22 by the time we were all done, and now they are of national significance. Fast forward to the 2018 plan here, we realized that there are a number of things that the association, and under the direction of Gordon Hay and a lot of tremendous neighbors, have put in an amazing amount of manpower. I'd like to give him a huge round of applause. Yeah. This is about a community that cares about their park. Metro Parks is not interested in owning the land. Metro Parks is interested in partnering with the city of East Cleveland. There is a very specific way that can happen through how the deed restrictions were set up based on some of the research. But the opportunity here to add this as the 19th reservation in the future would be of great consideration from the park board, having stated the meeting, but this is a very unique opportunity. You had mentioned the site on Terrace. It was one of those things when you look at how do you explore a park? What do you see when you're in the park? And you start to look at the 360 views, and that was one of the areas that needs improvement. It needs a connection to Euclid, it needs a pull-through, it also needs resources. We started the process of thinking through what dollars would be available through and including brownfield remediation money, asbestos money, and all those things. Those are the things that we're very good at. We bring in dollars for remediation, we bring in state capital dollars, we bring it in as a partnership with the community. We've also looked at, again with the support of the McGregor Foundation, how many dollars would be needed to bring it back up to. We also know that the sewer district is working in this community as well to work on the Headwater Dam. So there are a lot of things in play. Also, I know you've got a presentation on the funding that's available. There's also county council funding. One can look towards the communities that they've been very purposeful in investing in parks. I think this is a tremendous opportunity to leverage county funds with city funds, with Metro Parks funds, to really build the future of this park.
I'll open it up for questions. We'll start with Ms. Blovac at this time.
Okay, nice to see you again, and it's nice to catch up a little bit on previous things about Milwaukee, which we both have in common. Lots of questions. First, let me make sure that you're aware that while this discussion has been going on for a long time, we had, I think, a 5-minute or less mention of it some months ago, and other than that, didn't hear about it. So while this seems to you like something that you've been working on, and I understand that you have been, understand that I'm in favor of it in concept, but I don't really feel as if I know what it's all about. And to get my vote, I need to know a little bit more than what I know now. And I read the little pamphlet that we got before, and I thought that was interesting. I was interested to hear from Mr. Hay that the assessment that's mentioned in it must be what, 250 pages? I can't remember.
241, I think.
Hey, that's pretty good, yes. I'd like the opportunity to skim through that before I would want to make any any decision, any final decision on my support, which I assume I will provide shortly. I would like to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on that apartment building, which everybody agrees that it's a mess, and the section of Terrace Road that is right there, and the largely vacant land that is to the north of that. And let me give you my bias ahead of time. I live one house from what's not called Terrace where I am, but it's called Forest Hill Avenue, but it's the same street. And that is an important local transit. Though I must say, I would like to see it as a one-way street with half of it being a bike trail going all the way across the city. But that's my daydream that I haven't really talked about that yet. But anyway, tell me about your concepts of what we would do with that apartment building. Is that included in the amount of money that you come up with, and the demolition of that, and what is your thought on the rest of that home?
So very quickly, that is outside of the scope of the park. Having said that, having driven through East Cleveland a number of times, it was one of the part and parcels to the opportunity to show the renaissance of the park. So that would be partnering with the land bank, partnering with other government sources, and finding ways to remediate and bring the building down. I know the condition of the street, I know the trajectory towards Euclid Avenue, and certainly this is the first opportunity for council in a public session to talk about this, so I respect those comments. Having said that, when you drive, you either put your foot on the gas or you put your foot on the brake, and you either seize opportunity or you don't. And the opportunity cost right now is the partnerships with the county, with the city of East Cleveland, and the metro parks, and the timing of this coming together. I don't believe a member of my staff has ever spoken in front of the council here in East Cleveland, so to me, this is a monumental move in the right direction. Having said that, there's work to be done, there's community to be involved. This isn't something that we just come over and it magically happens. It took 3 to 4 years, it took public meetings. The first part of returning a park is clean and green, bringing it clean and green. And then you start working on the other components. There isn't a maintenance facility, there isn't a sense of a there. We talk about placemaking, we talk about all those concepts. All those things will develop with this community over time. It's not a predetermined outcome. We don't know where the destination is yet. So I would love this community to come along with us for that journey.
What is the possibility of finding a copy of that assessment to skim?
As easy as it is.
Where would I find?
We'll get it to you. Would you like all 241 pages?
Actually, I took my first.
If he wants to see it, well, we get one for our clerk. We'll get him make copies. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I took my first speed reading class over 50 years ago, so.
Any other questions, Mr. O'Reilly?
Hang on just a second. You mentioned 2 bridges, and I don't know them by name. Can you name the bridges? So
I did not mention any bridges in my conversation.
No, but in a piece of paper that we had a, I don't remember how many pages that was in, but we got a short summary and it mentioned 2 bridges, one of which sounded like it was in reasonable shape and the other which sounded like it might not be salvageable.
Bridges lie in the state of Ohio in various stages of decay and or opportunity for improvement. So in an effort to keep the council moving, I won't get into the specifics of the 2 bridges. There's needs in the entire park. So to focus on 2 entities and letting the rest of it go, whether it's the pond, the water, or the trail, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. So I think from a holistic approach, when you look at the level of opportunity for investment into leverage funds, that's what we should really be talking about. Making sure that we use money that's available to us in the proper fashion to enhance this park back to its legacy.
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, when you got it, go ahead.
You mentioned the county council funding. Where is you going to the county for the funding, or
what I can speak to
council
is, yes.
funding for that council?
Yes. yes. I think at a very high level, I would use the words opportunity to leverage at this point in time. Commitments from the council for the specific use at Forest Hills, specifically leveraging funds, and hopefully in a matching fashion. That would be the hope. There could be a commitment of 1 to 2. 2 equals 4 plus 2 from the park equals 6. If it's 12, we're halfway there. So that was a very quick way of looking at the math, but it's an opportunity to really start it and moving it forward.
Okay, and is it, and I know the Forest Hill Park is up the hill, what about down the hill, Forest Hill, the little park?
The lower valley.
The lower valley. We don't want to mess up the lower valley and our higher valley. They're beautiful, and it's not looking like nothing.
I think the deep breath that I will take is I hope rising tides raise all ships, and I think there's an opportunity.
We need to stop at the bottom because we need to.
I will tell you that, having driven through there is levels of improvement to be seen in other areas. So we can control what we can control, and we can help and be partners. We can partner with the land bank and others to bring to the community what we can, and we see where that goes.
All right. Ernest Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman, and every member of the Metro Park. I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you for showing love in your heart. On behalf of the great people of East Cleveland, we all want to say thank you. You must have a lot of love in your heart to not only think about the parks, but think about that big ugly building and think about how beautiful it would look from that view on Terrace with that building gone. I just really want to thank you for that. We know that is over $1 million to take down. We understand that it's an eyesore. I'm just sitting here visioning just to be able to look right through. And that part is down in the valley, because I do agree with my colleagues, but I have all the confidence in the world that you are not going to forget about any part of the park. Once you even mentioned, or once I do a little due diligence, so I knew that you wanted to knock down the building before today. So once I heard that you wanted to knock down the building, it brought a tear to my eye. So on behalf of the people, thank you.
You get all of the Metro Parks when we come.
I appreciate that.
Brian, we want to thank you. I want to thank Gordon Hay, but I also want to thank Dutch Harley. You guys remember Dutch Harley? Okay. He was connected, and now the council. We can do our part, and I think we will. Thank you very much.
I'll leave. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Let me add. Thank you. Let me add that all of this money is coming from American Rescue Plan Act. It's not coming out of the general fund. It's all federal funding.
All right.
And it's 2%. I think it's going to be about 20 million at the end of the day.
Okay.
When this park is fully restored. And our investment, our skin in the game is 2 million of that 20.
All right.
2 million of that 20.
2 million from the
American Rescue Plan Act into that
2 million ARPA money.
Yes, into that $20 million project. And you have to remember, it's not just the restoration of the park, it's an economic development project because it's going to bring commerce, it's going to bring people, eventually bring residents. And it's in Ward 3. So Ward 2 and Ward 3 have 2 major projects. And we do have a project in Ward 4, but we're not ready to talk about it as of yet. But it'll likely be at the next special council meeting when we have the guests here as well.
And Brian Zimmerman, we're glad that you're excited about East Cleveland.
Excited and passionate and really ready to move. So
okay,
we need to
Go ahead, Mike, the last one.
So as we all know, the federal government during this pandemic has been giving stimulus money out to businesses, individuals, governments, all over the place. Right? Some people took advantage of it, some people didn't. I know I got my $1,400 check and I $1,200 check. I did a home improvement with mine, and I think I got 2. Did we get 2? We got 2. I didn't get the 3rd. Somebody get 3. So that was under President Trump. Under President Biden, he created the American Rescue Plan Act under his administration to give out more stimulus money. This time, making sure that government get enough money to repair itself from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. City of East Cleveland received $26 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds. Now, as you know, we put $3 million into homeowner grant program, and I'm sure many of these folks some of these folks are a part of it, and people who are listening from their homes on Zoom are a part of it. We put $1 million into stimulus for seniors who don't own homes. We want to give them some financial release for $300. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are hungry and you are at the end of your check, and you're at the end of your subsidized check, and you get that check for $300, yes, that means you can feed yourself for another month or so, particularly when you're alone and you're senior living in one of the high-rises. $4 million of American Rescue Plan Act for our 3% into the $122 million revitalization strategy going on in Councilor Gowdy's ward, Ward 2, which will bring new residents and beautify the community and value to your own home, I might add. We want to put $2 million of this money again into the metro parks. Our $2 million will pale in comparison to the $18 million that's going to need to be raised to do this project. We put $10 million of the ARPA funds into the general fund to provide services. So all the services that you see that are going on right now, it's as a result of American Rescue Plan Act. Now, the individual who's going to keep us on track, actually get us on track, and stay in par with what the Treasury expects a municipality to do when dispensing these funds. This law firm represents 28 other communities with respect to American Rescue Plan Act funds. We want to be the 29th community represented by the firm that is considered the expert in Ohio when it comes to administering American Rescue Plan Act funds. They're going to help craft the legislation, craft the communication, craft the response, and the reasoning behind why we're doing what we're doing, so that when the audit comes, and it will come from the Treasury, that we have all our ducks in a row. Our legal argument and justification will be there because this is the firm that is considered the expert in Ohio, and from my estimation, is proven by representing 28 other municipalities. So I'd like to bring up Jeff Harris, who is from Bricker and Eckler, who is going to keep us all on the straight and narrow, follow every rule, every regulation, and he may get into legalese, you all tonight. Don't go too deep into it. We want to keep it a little light, and we'll get some more questions and answers. So Jeff, I'll turn it over to you. Explain, what you know as an expert in the American Rescue Plan Act, and what your firm does, and why your firm should do it for us.
Great, thanks, Mike. Mayor, thank you. Ms. Emmons, what a pleasure to see you, members of council, council president. My name is Jeff Harris. I'm an attorney with Bricker and Eckler. We're based out of Columbus, but we do have a Cleveland office in Playhouse Square. I'm coming to you from what we call a public finance group. That group is the group that typically works with governments to help them pay for roads, sewer, broadband, and other things. We do a lot of parking garages for whatever reason. But part of that work that I do was when the CARES Act came about in 2020, we had a number of our local governments, counties, cities, and townships say, how do we understand CARES Act? We don't get it. We have this money. We're not really sure what we can do with it. So I started reading into this in March, April 2020, and then you fast forward. We're doing a lot of fast forwarding tonight. We fast forward to 2021, and the ARPA, what I call the ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan Act, $26 million to the city, it flowed from the CARES Act in terms of having done that day in, day out for the past year. I then moved right into the American Rescue Plan Act, and I started to read that pretty much March 2021 on. And that's what I do on a daily basis. So as has been reported in Cleveland.com, City of Cleveland has hired us. We've been working with Cleveland and Mayor Bibb for his ARPA decision making. We've been engaged by a number of counties. Like Mike said, we have over 2 dozen, we're actually at almost at 3 dozen now. So we work with a lot of local governments around Ohio. And, you know, my role is, and Mr. Roberts, who was here earlier, had that really nice slide with all the different partners involved. And I'll tell you, just as a I guess I could say I'm non-biased observer, and I look at that, every one of those folks on that list is legitimate. And when you start to bring that kind of firepower into this city of East Cleveland, that's a big deal. I'm going to be just one piece, one cog. And that is, all right, for all those funding sources that Mike and the mayor have been working on, Mr. Roberts is working on at the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, and bringing on the metro parks, my little piece is, what's the federal funding and all that? And so my role is going to be to come in, like Mike said, and provide you as much support as I can to say, yes, you can use your ARPA money on this, or no, you can't. I'm going to write up materials, my team, it's not just me, there's several of us at the front, that we're going to walk you through memos and say these are appropriate. They go into your background materials because that auditor, that audit team, they're coming. Either the auditor of state or the inspector general for the U.S. Treasury, they're coming. We know that they will. And you're going to be able to say when those auditors show up on site and they say, you want to do this Metro Parks deal, show me that file. The idea is Mike, Mayor, Ms. Hennons, and others say, here's the file. They open it up. Okay, here's a legal memorandum that says this is a legitimate use of the American Rescue Plan Act cash. Here's the resolution the council passed. Here are the instructions that the law firm gave you to fill out the papers, and everybody should be able to say, shake hands and move on. So my role is to make sure that as you go through these projects for the Cuyahoga County Land Bank, and as far as the Metro Parks project and others that Mike and the mayor have asked us to work on with Ms. Hemmons, we will say in the background, yes, that's okay. No, don't do that because it's not eligible. And we'll just walk you through hand in hand through the process. And I'm happy to take any questions.
We'll start with Ernest Smith and go this way. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, Mr. Jeff Harris, thank you, Brickler and Eckler, on behalf of the city of East Cleveland. This should, because by right, a lot of people have questions. So this should clear up a lot of those questions and keep us on the track that we need to be on. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, Juanita Gotti.
And you just gonna be the city, the mayor, law firm, because we did have a lawyer that came in. We need somebody too, you know, to tell us if we right or wrong, you know, because we got money that I know that I need, and I just want to know if we can get the money too. You know? So.
When it comes to the ARPA, Councilwoman, Mike asked me, can I do this? I say no. Or he asked me, can I do that? I said yes.
So let me tell you one thing I did ask him.
Okay.
Just so I asked him, can elected officials participate in the ARPA program? What did you say, Jeff?
I said, so long as they were working on ARPA work and we can go through and write it up properly, you can make premium pay payments to anybody who works for the city, so long as necessary.
So it's not like we're only thinking about this side of the aisle. We're thinking about everyone else.
Okay.
So you should be able to participate in the program that exists, even though you are an elected official. But you're going to have to pass a piece of legislation,
right,
to allow us to. Yes, we'll get with you. Yes, we'll get with you. Jeff and I will get with you on that.
That's the kind of stuff that we can help Mike and the mayor and you all, and the whole city. Right?
Okay, Patricia Roback.
Okay.
Oh, she got one more.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one more question?
Because
Okay.
we know the money is going to run out sooner or later.
Yes, ma'am.
So how are we gonna pay our law? You know, in case of other things.
Yeah, you have money set aside.
We have your 26 million.
I'll show you.
Okay, all right. Okay, we just trying to keep it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It'll go beyond our.
Yes.
Okay, Patricia Blovac.
Two things. One was kind of a shock to me. I was trying to find my email in here that with the information that we had received from the clerk of council about your firm and the resolution. And I came up with Prosecutor Bill Mason investigates Chase Home Finance, Bricker and Eckler, and a bunch of others for potential mortgage fraud against homeowners. I have no idea whether that's somebody's,
Councilmember, let me clear that up. Bill Mason used to be a partner at Bricker and Eckler before he moved to become Cuyahoga County prosecutor. So what you may have read is maybe some work that he had done that referenced the fact that he worked at Bricker. At one point, he actually predated me. That's the relationship I would be aware of.
wonderful. We'll forget about that, but it just kind of shocked me that I came up with that when I was trying to find ways. Like, how much money we were thinking of paying you and that sort of thing. That's what I was actually looking at.
Sure. Okay, so we only bill you as you need us to answer questions. So as anyone from the city, and we'd like to work through a point or two of context that not everybody hits us with questions because we have to charge every time we get a question. But as long as we have a good chain of kind of communication, as questions come in, then the meter runs. And then once we answer the question with a yes or no or a written document, the meter stops. So we're seeing cities and counties around Ohio. It depends on how many times they ask us for help, but a couple $1,000s a month. But it can't.
Let me add this, and I don't know about this Bill Mason thing. We should explain it a little bit in greater detail with a bit more confidence, but we can set that aside. So, strategically, the city of East Cleveland will be the 29th municipality, probably now the 35th or 37th. So many of the questions that these other communities are asking, they're going to be asking the same kinds of questions. So the answer is already there. So the amount of time that it takes to research an issue, where it takes 20 hours, 14 hours, 30 hours, that question has already been researched, and all we're doing is ascertaining the response to that question. So which means it costs us less, because whoever asked the question first, they paid the most because it had to be researched. All we're doing is getting a yes or no and a document to support that. Because the question has already been asked, and it's already been answered, it's already been researched. So that's the beauty in being the 29th, probably now the 35th, but at the time, the 29th municipality, because those communities likely have asked the questions that we're currently asking, and most communities are doing some type of grant to residents for home improvement, home repair. They're doing that.
We're looking forward.
I'm not done.
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
have one more question. I was attending via Zoom a Fiscal Oversight Commission meeting, and I think it was Barbara Matei Smith who was suggesting that there are payments that we have already made out that she's concerned that we will have to pay back because they were not acceptable. And it's a Zoom meeting, and I must say, Zoom meetings I find difficult, and I frequently attend parts of them if they're not my meeting that I decided to attend. But are you aware of her concerns about things that we may have to repay?
So it wasn't about American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay.
It was about traffic cameras.
Oh, okay.
So you got the two situations, and everything that we're doing with ARPA, I've read past them already, and they're allowable expenses, particularly because this community is considered
Mr. Smedley, you are not talking about what I'm talking about, so thank you.
Make your point, Mr. Moran. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so that's not, ARPA money, every program that we've suggested, every program that we've initiated, Jeff is fully aware, and he knows, like we know, and like our law director knows, that they're allowable expenses.
Mr. Smedley, could you please sit down for a minute?
I will not sit down. I'm part of the presentation.
Are you aware that Barbara Matei Smith was concerned about the way that we spent some of our ARPA funds?
Let me say a few things, Councilmember. First, I want to make sure Mr. Smedley had a comment in there. I want to make sure I'm very clear. Bricker and Eckler is of the highest professional ethics, and I don't know anything about the Bill Mason mortgage fraud thing, but I want to make sure.
We'll let it.
Ma'am, you brought it up in a public meeting, and I owe a response because it's my employer.
Please address that so we can move on.
Yes, sir,
Please.
thank you. It is of the highest caliber law firm, and I don't, there's no mortgage fraud of any nature or substance going on at the firm, nor do we have a relationship with it, okay?
This is something
All
somebody
right,
said.
well, you brought it up in a public meeting, ma'am, and I don't appreciate that. Okay, so let me now,
And
sir, yes.
what I want to say is,
Yes.
we're
Wait a
honored.
second, I would like a response to the question about Barbara McKay Smith and the
Do you know Barbara McKay?
I don't have personal knowledge of what she said.
She's the Fiscal Oversight Commission,
She's
the head of the Fiscal Oversight Commission, and her
Straight on,
statement was that she was concerned that we would have to repay some of our ARPA funds. This was before the traffic lights camera finding came down.
Okay, Mike, we're not under contract with Brickler and Eckler right now,
Not yet.
so we will be there. So when that time comes, then you can answer that.
So,
Okay?
So your answer
Council
right now,
President?
you know you're not
Yes,
there.
yes, go ahead.
Right, that is all I wanted to know. I wanted the answer. Yes, I know, no, I don't know, and if you knew, what details you knew. So you have not answered. I am satisfied that you have answered my question.
Okay. We're looking forward to a relationship with you to keep us on point,
sir.
keep us focused, etc.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna have a process so that our council people don't run the bill up. We're gonna have the rules and regulations and then we'll get it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. And God bless your firm. Okay? 2 minutes to close out so we can move to the legislation. Okay?
All I wanted to say is, thanks residents for coming out. This is a demonstration of how important these issues are to this community and the residents that live in it. Some of these folks have been living in this community for 30, 40 years and have seen this community decline and now could be a part of its renaissance. So thanks everyone who are concerned, those who are investing in this community, those institutions that look at this city as opportunity other than how they once looked at it before, and I don't need to go that far. But Council President, I'd like to thank you for scheduling this special council meeting. I know, and the folks who are presenting know that there's no legislation to be passed at this meeting. This is just to bring more information. There will be 2 more meetings where we can discuss this in 2 probably special council meetings because you're on break, but some of this, we need to really begin to move it, get it on track for passage, and that'll take 2 more meetings, and we look forward to it. And Council President and councilors, if you have any questions, and I can answer them, or I can get those who spoke today on the phone, and we can answer some questions, as well as participate in Councilor Gowdy's ward meeting. So thanks for that invitation.
Thank you.
Councilor.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Okay.
Resolution number 4922, we have Keisha Chambers from OHM on. She'd like to explain a little bit about this grant since there was a few questions last time because it is a second read. Keisha?
You want to read this legislation, Tracy? Or
Well, I'm trying to
you got it?
Keisha.
Okay, all right.
So she can explain it first. Keisha? Okay, Keisha's ready.
Okay, Keisha Chambers?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, it's on you.
You want to
Michelle?
Excellent. I'd like to first introduce my co-worker here, Jeremy Hinton. He's going to give an overview of Superior Hill Park improvements, and then I'll just give a brief discussion about the grant, because I know we're limited on time, and so we'll get through this as fast as we can. Thank you. So, Jeremy?
I should be able. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast to work with the mayor and everybody with the city. Us at OHM really appreciates all we can do with East Cleveland and really advancing that community forward. So I don't know if it looks like I cannot share my screen to look at the graphics, or do they have the graphics in front of them?
Tracy, can he share screen? Can you give him permission to share screen?
I'm going to try right now. Hold on a second.
So yeah, I don't know who the host is, but they need to allow it. Oh, here we go. Sweet. So thumbs up. Can everybody see this? Excellent. So this is Superior Hill Park. For those of you that do not know what's there, there's a pretty rough-looking basketball court that is in this area and 2 small play areas. And you know, we've been challenged to look at what is the first improvement we can make to this park that adds an amenity to the neighborhood. And the first one is looking at really creating a high-level basketball facility with a color surfacing. And then there's an alternate bid in the plans to create 2 tennis courts, one specifically being designed to include the new rage of pickleball, which is this yellow, orangish color here. And, you know, I'm just going to go quicker high level. We're going to take out that existing basketball court. We shifted everything closer to the road along Superior just to be more visible. Sorry about that. That's the hooch. And then allowing for more space for future use. So Keisha's going to get into some grant pursuits where we're looking at replacing the path. And then this allows a little bit more space to the west to, in future phases, replace the play area and add amenities to this space. So the next thing I'm just going to hit on really quick is the cost estimates for this. Just so everybody understands what's going on. So for the first phase, it's just the basketball court. The costs are coming in about $190. That's to bid it right now. And that includes color surfacing, the graphics on it, the basketball graphic, the Cardinal graphic, etc. As well as new black vinyl coated chain link fence. And then the tennis court, which is basically very similar surfacing, except it's a larger area, is coming at an additional $203 approximately. So let me just go back to the graphics so everybody can kind of understand what's happening here. So with that, that's where we're at with this. You know, we feel from a connection standpoint, we kind of have this nice swooping walk that's bringing people in from either side. The one intention long term is to, you know, continue this connection. There's a bus stop right here. That's, you know, we're looking at trying to connect that bus stop to this as part of some of the trail funding approach. And then the boulevard itself is being redone by the county, I believe. Correct, Keisha?
That's correct.
So for this project, that's all I have to speak to on the court side of things.
Okay, I'll jump into the grant which you have received legislation for us to be able to apply for the grant. So this is a concept, conceptual concept. We know that this may be something that is phased moving forward. However, for the grant, there are limited funds available statewide. So there's $2.4 million statewide. For the county, there's only an allotment of $134,000. And what we're going to do for this round is to apply for items that would supplement the basketball court. So picnic benches, grills, trash receptacles. And that's what we're going to apply for in this phase because, as I mentioned, Cuyahoga County is only getting $134,000. So we wouldn't be able to do a big ask. The ask now is around $60,000 with all of the items paying for the benches, the pads, concrete pads for these benches, for the grills also, and possibly exercise equipment that will go along the walking trail. So that's our round one grant ask for this year. The plan is for next year to ask for funds to extend the walking trail. So it will go actually around the basketball court, around the playground area. And so we can have a walking court with exercise pads along that path. So this legislation before you is to be able to apply for these grant funds so we can continue to build out Superior Hill. The county completed a green space park plan for East Cleveland, and these plans, these concepts have been based on the information provided in the green space park plan, which is currently under review within the administration's office and will soon be presented to the community and the council.
Keisha,
Yes.
are we eligible for the 64,000 or the 130,000 of the grant? How,
So 134 is what has been allotted to the county as a whole.
okay,
So I believe the county they will receive all these, well, the state will receive all these grants and then allot funds per county. So we'll only get a portion of that 134,000. My ask is gonna be for around 60, and we'll see what they will award us from that ask.
thank you. Patricia Blahoviak.
There was, I'm just giving you this for information, there is a literacy trail, and that's not the exact title of it, that Mr. Latimer, the Literacy Co-op, Mr. Hay was part of the discussion, and I don't know whether this would go in well with your trail that you're talking about, but there is some funding for that they may or may not apply for. And what I'm going to do is to send you a copy linked to these other people, so that if that would be something that would go together well with, that it might be a way of moving the whole project forward.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
I'll just send you the information, and then everybody can decide whether it works together or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blahoviak. Juanita Gowdy?
Yeah, the ARPA money, could we use some of that funding to help out, you know, because we is helping.
If Councilwoman Gowdy is directing her question to me, I can't hear her.
Go ahead,
Is the
Gowdy.
ARPA money, is it available, can we use some of that funding? Can we use some of that money?
Jeff, did you hear that question?
Okay, because I really, it's in our ward, and that part definitely need to be done, and I'm ready to move on. Hopefully, we get this grant money going, and we can collaborate together, and let's make it happen.
Councilor Gowdy, you have to speak towards the speaker.
Yeah, right here, right in front of it. Okay, any other concerns, Juanita Gowdy?
Well, we just need funding for this part to start happening with the money that we do have. We can use some of that money.
Okay, Ernie Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Chambers. I just wanted to clarify, so on the picture, did I hear that the basketball court would be moved closer to the street, correct? Can you hear me?
Yes, the basketball court will be moved closer to the street.
Wow.
And can you see the graphic on the screen now?
Yes. So this is the old court right here?
In the back, yes.
This is the current court. It'll be moved, okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, that park is very, very important to the residents up in that part of the city, and I know that a lot of them would love for that park to be rehabbed. Love for it to be rehabbed. And I think that's great for it to move closer to the street, because you don't have to go through all the grass to get to the court. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Madam Clerk?
Let me call, okay.
Right, just move.
Resolution number 4922. A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to participate in the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Natural Works Grant Program to secure up to 75% project cost for the installation, reconstruction, and/or rehabilitation of outdoor recreational facilities and/or structures included but not limited. Please keep your microphones muted until you're asked to speak. Anybody on Zoom? Thank you. Okay, reconstruction and or rehabilitation of outdoor recreational facilities and or structures, including but not limited to submitting an application and supporting documents, executing any and all agreements and or contracts as may be required by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to secure the requested funds if awarded. This is a second read.
Okay, resolution 4922 bears your name, Juanita Gallo. What is your pleasure?
My pleasure is to move it forward.
Okay, it's been moved by Juanita Gallo.
She needs to make a motion.
Make a motion, Juanita.
She needs to make a motion that she will sponsor.
And I will sponsor it, and I will make a motion. I will sponsor it.
Okay, she will sponsor and move for adoption.
Second.
Okay, and there's a second by Patricia Blovac. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Counselor Gowdy?
Yay.
Counselor Bohogat?
Yay.
Counselor Smith?
Yay.
Counselor Martin?
Yay.
Passed by 4.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's move to the next legislation.
Resolution number 5422. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept the bid of and contract with SealTech 17710 South Waterloo Road, Cleveland, Ohio 44110 for resurfacing of the City Hall parking lot and abutting sidewalk at a cost of $115,016.20 to be paid out of the general fund. This is only a first read.
Okay, if it's the first read, we'll just move.
Mr. President, can I
Yes,
make one
yes,
quick
Ms.
comment?
Blovac.
I have been discussing with the mayor since November the importance of dealing with the bus pads on Euclid Avenue. And some parts of Euclid Avenue are in very poor shape because there has been insufficient attention to the bus pads. And while this is an important thing, the bus pads are more important, and perhaps the mayor could be more convincing if he would take care of those bus pads first.
Okay, Mike, when we get to the mayor's remarks, then you can respond. That's coming up in a few minutes. Okay, we heard Ms. Blovac's point. She has her point. So, this is the first read, so we're going to move on. We're going to remarks and request. This is the time you each have 3 minutes. Line up here and say whatever you want to say. If you have any questions or whatever. Thank you. Go ahead. I see you coming up. Okay. It's good to see you, Gordon. Good to see you, buddy. Okay.
My name is Gordon Hay. I'm a resident of East Cleveland since 1970. I've been fortunate enough to help the city take care of Forest Park. If any of you would like to visit the park, we'd be happy to take you through the park and let you see what is great about the park as well as what is not so great that needs to be repaired. So I'm available and at your beck and call if you would like to come to the park. So please take me up on that. The second thing is, you know, is that back in 1938, John D. Rockefeller donated 235 acres to the city of East Cleveland and the city of Cleveland Heights. 173 acres are in East Cleveland, 2/3 of the park. In 1997, several portions of the East Cleveland Park were designated to the National Registry of Historic Places. What's important to know is that our park, even though it's on the National Registry of Historic Places, has no long-term funding or management. And so today you heard of a management person stepping forward that could manage Forest Hill Park for all of us. And I think it is something that is both exciting and historic for this park to have our community, which I feel deserves to have a well-managed park. And I'd like to speak to more of a personal thing. I spend probably, in the last 8 or 9 years, 30 or 40,000 hours in the park. 30 or 40, that's a lot of time. So what I've been able to hear, and it's been a gift to me, is some of the stories that people have shared with me about how important the park is to them. They come to the park to walk, to run, to ride, to hike, to bike. to play softball, baseball, and many just come to the park to breathe. Because going to the park enables them to feel better emotionally, mentally, and physically. And that is so important in this day and age, whereby 2050, 2/3 of all humanity will live in urban centers. Therefore, the necessity of having a park near where you live is an absolute necessity. And I hope today that you will find that the community deserves to have a well-managed, well-cared-for park. And it is true that we don't have any water in the park, and we haven't had water for years. And it's also true that many communities across the country are looking for people to manage their parks. It is no disgrace for East Cleveland to not be able to manage 173 acres. That's happening all across the country. And we are lucky enough to have the #1 in the country, for God's sakes, that can actually manage that. And I'll bet there isn't a person here that hasn't gone to a Metro Park that has appreciated what they've done. They have felt safe, and they have felt like they've had a place that they could go. The other thing that's important, John D. Rockefeller, almost 100 years ago, wanted this park to be a park for all people. All people, not some people, all people. And I believe you have the opportunity to bring a major step forward in having Metro Park manage Forest Hill Park. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you can see your way clear to making this park a good park for all of the residents of East Cleveland. I want to thank you for your time, and also thank you for allowing me to get the great benefit of knowing all of those people who visit the park every year, that it touched my heart in so many ways. To the young man who works for us in the park, who graduated from Shaw High School, who spent 15 months in jail for no reason at all, got out, got back into school, graduated, still works in the park, who's 24 years old and has total kidney failure. That park is important to him. That young man played baseball for me at Shaw High School. It's important. He's just one illustration. Another illustration, and many of you have heard me say this before, but it's so heart-rendering. I know Carl, who comes to the park all the time, walks his dog. I gave him a couple baseball gloves so he could play ball with his grandkids. And one day I see him walking in the park carrying a bag, so I know he's on the way to feed the ducks. Okay? Hey, Carl, how you doing? Oh, I'm not doing too good today, Gordon. Why? What happened? My kid just jumped off the Lorraine Bridge. But here he is in the park with that bag, with his pain, his guilt, his sorrow, trying to go feed the ducks. If that doesn't tell you that that park isn't important to human beings, I don't know what will. So today I thank you for the time and effort you've given me, and let's hope this all moves forward, okay?
Thank you. Give us your name.
Hello, my name is Grenetta Taylor.
Okay, I agree, Ms. Taylor. How are you?
I'm here as the chairman of the board for NOAA, Northeast Ohio Alliance for Hope.
All right.
And I first want to thank you all for having this special meeting to introduce the Target Area Project.
Okay.
And I'd like to also just ask that before you all make a final decision on this project, that you ensure that the adequate community engagement takes place. Okay, but my main reason for being here today is to present a board resolution from NOAA regarding collaboration between East Cleveland and the Metro Parks. And first, thank you, Mayor, for getting this to this point. We have been talking about this for a while, and it's getting close. I'm glad to see it. But the resolution reads, whereas the Northeast Alliance, the Ohio Alliance for Hope, advocates for responsible economic development in East Cleveland, Whereas park revitalization has been at the forefront of NOAA's community development activity. Whereas NOAA supports the Forest Hill Park Association's park maintenance and enhancement activities. Whereas NOAA recognizes the vital role parks and green space play in fostering a healthy place for children and adults. And whereas NOAA recognizes the limited resources available within the City of East Cleveland's budget to address infrastructure needs and deferred maintenance issues of Forest Hill Park. Therefore, it is resolved that the Board of Directors of NOAA on this day, July 5th, 2022, support the proposed partnership between the City of East Cleveland and the Cuyahoga County Metro Parks. We urge City Council to adopt legislation to effect this collaboration once appropriate. And I'd like to present this as part of the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Young lady, what's your name?
Hold on, Mr. President.
You want to say something?
No, just real quick. Our next speaker is not the president of East Cleveland, but I beg of you to please give her time to get her.
All right, is that all right with the council?
She has a real concern.
Some reason why?
She has a concern. She came. She took her time to come to the meeting. I honestly did not know she was coming, but I do know that she has something that I want her to get it on the record. So I'm asking my colleagues to please. Evidently, it must have something to do with the individual in East Cleveland if she's here. I would like to ask the president.
It's all right with me, but I
don't know what she getting ready to say, but I know her subject matter. And
okay, I'm all right with it, but I got to see the other ones. Are you guys okay to hear from this young lady?
I mean, I could hear from her, but you know.
It's a little irregular.
I know it's irregular, that's why I'm reaching out to you. So, what's your pleasure?
Council President.
Okay, go ahead.
Make you comfortable.
They said it's okay, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, I would like to introduce myself first. I am one of the former City of Cleveland mayoral candidates of last year's election, as well as I'm a former Ward 14 Precinct Committee member over in Councilwoman Jasmine Santana's ward. My name is Latoria T. Witcher. Everybody in the communities west and east calls me Lady T. That's who I am.
Lady T?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, Lady T.
And the reason why I want to first, before I go in, I want to first thank the City of Cleveland Council, Mayor King, for allowing me to come and speak for a few minutes. And as I sat and observed, your target meeting in your city, one thing that was not addressed, I know Mr. Hood said that the new infrastructures of your building will have gated communities. But what about the rest of the communities? Because crime and violence is something very important to not just your residents in the city of East Cleveland, but all residents. So the reason why I'm here today is because there was an issue with one of your East Cleveland residents, where it turned into a domestic violence situation. Now, I said I live all the way in Ward 14. I do know this individual, but the threat came to our family when I was in Ward 4, sitting at the party. And I came because I knew the individual is a resident in East Cleveland, came to this police department after a police report was made in my district. And so I'm just asking for the city of East Cleveland to take more caution, more preliminary care when it comes to community leaders, residents of other cities in the city of Cleveland and East Cleveland, because I came all the way to come to your city. I felt brushed off. I didn't even let the officers know that I was even a political official or even ran. But just for me to be a regular person and saying, hey, I got this problem, this person is in your ward, in your community, he's dangerous, he has mental health issues, and to be brushed off, I thought that was just, not right at all. And that's what I stand for, justice for our people, having our people have a voice. So I'm asking for council president, vice council, and all the councilmen, and Mayor King, that when it comes to residents that are not inside of your community, that comes out and says, hey, this is a problem, hey, this issue needs to be addressed, it's going to get worse. It's being taken seriously. because it's too much violence, too much shootings, too much crime, and I know that everybody can agree in the room that it is, and our residents say enough is enough. If I can get agreement on that. And it's not just happening in your city, it's happening in my community, it's happening in my city and everywhere else. So, I mean, I'm not gonna take up too much time. I'd like to thank the board, I'd like to thank council and Mayor King for hearing me out. Hopefully that this issue can be resolved. And, you know, as a community leader, taken seriously so our people can have these nice structured homes that are being built in East Cleveland. Thank you so very much for your time.
Lady King, before you leave, Randy King, would you touch base with her?
Absolutely, we'd love to,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you,
He will
Mayor
help
King.
you
I appreciate
with the situation, okay?
Thank you,
And thank you for your courage.
Thank you.
Okay? All right.
Good to go, everybody.
Okay, Vita Saeed?
Saeed, yes.
All right.
Y'all, you know, I'm the founder and co-founder of Black Love Revolution. Love standing for loyalty to our community, obedience to the higher power, virtue, being for virtue, the need, and the excellence. I've done it 15 years, and I created a day, July 12th, for Black Love Revolution Day, as a movement to establish trust, love, unity, prosperity, greater health, and leadership in the Black and national community. And also, you know, work on self-defense and reestablishing the culture. And this year is my sixth year that I'm a co-founder of Black Love Unity Faith Mission Empowerment Week, which is an extension of that. I have some days looked at the East Cleveland Public Library. I'd like to invite you all to 4:30 to 6 p.m. on Monday, July 11th, Tuesday, July 12th, Wednesday, July 13th, Thursday, July 14th, and Saturday, July 16th, East Cleveland Public Library in the lower auditorium or the Llewellyn Room on Saturday, and Monday it's supposed to be in the story room, but they had some reorganization they're doing. So it's going to be at the East Cleveland Public Library, 14101 Euclid Avenue. And one thing I don't want to forget is there is a possibility, since I've been doing this for a little while, is there a possibility for funding? I know I've been haven't took advantage. Everybody else talking about money. Haven't took advantage of any of my business funds. I have several businesses that I haven't taken advantage of. I've been in a wheelchair for a good while. And I just started walking this month, unassisted.
Thank you, Peter.
And I wanted to say one more thing. It's a week of no crime.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Young lady, come on up.
My name is Arlene Anderson.
Arlene Anderson?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. And my family, has lived in East Cleveland since 1971. And we still have family that live here. I wanted to say three things if I can. First I want to say that, as you know, in the last few years, we have experienced quite a few pandemics. COVID, racial disparities, the onset, a lot of health disparities. So I want to take first the opportunity to say thank you very much. I have been in this room a lot of times and have been extremely disappointed. But I want to say to the mayor, to the council, we appreciate, and I don't know if you hear this, but we appreciate your time and effort in trying to address the challenges that we endure today. So first, I just want to say that. Second, I want to support the Metro Parks. That's really why I'm here, because the Metro Parks has exhibited lots of great things in a lot of different places. And I hope that we understand how important it is to allow them to come in and manage Forest Hills. That is a place where a lot of people go, as other people have noted. And you all know, if you went to Show High, we go there every year, right? So please take the Metro Parks seriously and hopefully expedite their time or expedite their desire to help in East Cleveland. The third thing I want to say is in all that you do, you know, oftentimes because we are a core community, so a lot of people come forth with a lot of great ideas that are not always so great for our community. And we entrust you to make decisions that are healthy and good for our community. And so I would ask that, you know, depending upon dollar amounts that you all invest in these projects, that you make sure that the stakeholders of those projects agree to some type of community benefits plan, okay? If you need examples of community benefits plans, I would greatly be honored to provide you with some. You can go to the city right down the street. They have an example of the community benefits plan, but it is extremely important to make sure that people don't take advantage of our situation. So with that, I will bid you good night. I thank you very much. And please cast Metro Parks.
Yeah. O'Mays.
Thank you.
Okay.
I somewhat differ with my former colleague. Well, she did say out before she closed that you embrace these people. When I was on this council, we had employees that from this city took care of the parks. And also with Mr. What's your name up the hill there? I can't think of his name at the moment. Also was very interested, and he gave his life and money to that park. So I'm saying, if you're going to hire Sultan or whoever you're going to give it to, make sure there are East Cleveland employees working, residents are working in the park. So you keep funding everything else and you keep causing the revenue of the city to go down. So, secondly, I hope that when council speaks and asks to speak to the mayor, that's whom should speak. What's his name? Michael Smedley is not the mayor. That's an insult to them. They was elected, so was he elected. He is to respond to council, because council does the authorization, appropriation, and legislation. And so that is the order of the day. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it operates. You do not. I remember one of the councilors asked to the mayor a question or whatever and did not wish to speak with an employee. She has that right to do so. And if you do not recognize that, you don't even know your job. You don't take back seats to no one, but to us. That's what you take back seats to. Because we put you here, we can remove you. So let it be said,
So let it be said, so let it be done, right?
Yes, I hear some mumbling in the peanut gallery.
Thank you, Mr. O'May. Young lady, come on up.
Hi, everyone.
Hello,
Hey, How are you?
Okay, good to see you again.
Likewise.
I see you both. You back up here, you guys. So you love East Cleveland, huh? Go ahead.
Yeah, last time we listened on Zoom, but we said this time we decided to come in person.
All right.
We just wanted to, first of all, thank council for the gathering for the kids, and the kids' idea. That was a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really, really great. So I
Thank you for
appreciate that. Yes, thank you for doing that. Thank you. But we just kind of wanted to kind of go over the situation. We're still locked with this NXC board. Actually, they've canceled like a lot of meetings. And the last meeting that we had, it wasn't enough members that came on to even make a decision.
So they didn't have a quorum, They didn't have a quorum. They didn't have enough to conduct the meeting.
No. And that was like the third meeting at that time, and then they canceled like the next 3 or 4 after that. So is it a possible way to?
My suggestion to you is
we did our appeal.
And nothing happened. If you can stick around for a few minutes after this, I'd like for you to talk with the mayor. He can kind of navigate that for you. Okay.
NBC is scheduled meeting next week. I posted it for.
When is it, Tracy?
You're on it.
Oh, really?
Yes, I sent it to you.
So-
And then via Zoom, I'm going to be monitoring it and I will report it. It's
All
going
right.
to be July 13th at 10 a.m.
July, and make sure, even with that, you touch base with the mayor too. Okay.
Okay, we can put the thing and say yay or nay or something.
Right. I mean, I don't know why they're not meeting, but I don't know what that's all about. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you.
you,
Good to
guys.
see everybody.
God bless you. Okay. All right. We're gonna move the agenda. We're almost at the end here.
Let me see if anybody online.
Anybody on Zoom?
Anybody
Tracy?
online have any questions? Any residents on Zoom?
Oh, here's one, the young lady. No, you want to speak?
I have to go, thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming. God bless you.
Keep the faith.
Okay, we're going to have remarks from the mayor. Okay?
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
It's been a long night. I'd like to thank all of our residents who showed up here tonight to show support for
Somebody else is saying something too.
the information that was shared with you. Gordon, who's been basically a champion for the Metro Park.
Yes, he has.
It was that summer, 17, my first spring, took me out to the Metro Parks. Me, Brian, and the team to discuss this. Who in 18 said they would be back in 21. And they came back. It's 22, we met, I think it was February, and here we are. Let's keep pushing this forward. I'd like to thank council for having this. Council President, Vice President, I know you're on recess.
Yeah.
You know how important this stuff is, so thank you for having this special meeting.
Thank you.
And let's just keep rebuilding East Cleveland together.
Amen. Thank you. Remark for the council, Patricia Bloviak, please.
Okay, a bunch of things that I want to go through quickly. One is everybody remember we've got a primary on August 2nd. State senators, state rep, central committee for both the Democratic and Republican parties, both the male and female. Everybody remember if you've got aluminum cans, the fire stations are collecting them to benefit the children's burn unit. They have bins outside of them. Everybody remember, all our kids under 5 can be registered for the Imagination Library, get a book in the mail every month till they turn 5 from birth. And those kids who have books in their homes, they're more likely to be read to and they learn to read better, and that improves our schools. The little free libraries that I've been talking about forever, they're finally in people's hands. They all need one more layer of paint and then they're ready for installation. We have 6 of them about to go in soon, and that will be a total of 8 in the city. There's one currently on Roxbury and one on the Coy Road Farmers Market. I hope that we can get this sound system fixed. It's new, so if we can't get it fixed, we should be able to get a new one, because this is not acceptable. People are forever saying they can't hear people. Not okay. Once upon a time, we voted money for lights for Forest Hill Boulevard, which is pitch black and dangerous at night. And I would like the mayor at some point in time to address when we can expect to see those. I know there have been a lot of delays and a lot of things that people are not getting, but I hope that'll come through. And the last thing I want to say is regarding requested information. I have requested copies of contracts that the city has. All of the city's contracts are supposed to be stored in the city council office. And as of the last time I knew, there was one there. And I have requested that they be sent to the council office. At least one of our residents has requested that they be sent to the council office. And we should have those contracts on record and visible at all times. I've also requested information about the repairs, the requests for proposals, the drawings, the everything regarding the repairs to the firehouses. I've been told that the firehouses have had significant amount of work over the last number of years. Actually, this isn't the last thing I want to say, but they're in awful shape, and our firefighters who are paid very little shouldn't have to deal with bad conditions. The only other thing I have to say is that all of the council members have an expense account that we can use for projects for the city. The ones that I have been trying to get money for is to give money to the Coit Road Farmers Market and then to do up a number of coupons for $25 and have projects. So if they would come and work on a cleanup or work on the garden or whichever project we came up with, they would get a coupon. They could then buy food or knives or whatever at the Coit Road Farmers Market. It would benefit the city in strengthening the Coit Road Farmers Market. It would provide people with a little bit of money equivalent to be able to buy things, and it would get some work done for the city. So I'm hoping that the supposed finance director would cut the check for the farmers market soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Gotti.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I'm looking forward to all these projects being passed, and looking forward to the houses and stuff that's getting ready to be put up and making our ward look good, and a new basketball court up the hill, and the park being done. I mean, we got a lot done today in the reviewing of it anyway, so the presentation. So, also, I'm opening up my new Ward 2 residence. It's right here on Euclid. It's the Bible bookstore, and it's 13633 Euclid Avenue. My Ward 2 will be, actually, my meetings will be the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday. And if you have any question or concern, you know, you can call me at area code 216-424-8360. I'm looking forward to hear from each and every one of you, and I will update my residents of what's going on in my ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Gotti. Ernest Smith, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you to my colleagues, to our great clerks, members of the administration, to our special guests, and more importantly, thank you all, our neighbors, the great people of East Cleveland. Thank you for showing up tonight, joining us tonight to check on your health, interest, rights, and needs. We really appreciate it. I just have a couple notes. I'll be real brief.
Somebody online.
I mean, somebody needed to put her on.
Maybe she can cut that off too.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I have a few notes. I'll be real brief. Ward 3 meetings are also held on the first and third Wednesday of the month, right here in the courtroom. We only started last month. Some of you may or may not know it was a last minute meeting. I was sitting in the office with our great clerk, and sometimes especially when I'm going through things at the house, sometimes I feel I'm not doing enough. So I believe it was a Friday or Thursday or Friday, and I asked Ms. Tracy to make me a last minute meeting on that very next Wednesday. I should have waited 2 or 3 weeks, but I wanted to have a quick meeting. A few residents showed up. But we're going to get back rolling like we were before COVID. As some of you may or may not know, we had Ward 3 meetings on various corners of the street in East Cleveland. We had meetings here in the courtroom, and we will pick up every first and third Wednesday. Now, tomorrow, I conceded the courtroom to Antonio Marshall, the service supervisor, who has a youth group who wants to meet in the courtroom. He called and asked me. I know that I haven't got the word out all the way like I wanted about the Ward 3 meeting, so I'll be in the hallway tomorrow in case anyone shows up, so I can take down your concerns and go over a couple notes that I want to go over. But now on the third Wednesday, we will have a full-fledged Ward 3 meeting right here in the courtroom. I encourage and I ask and I beg of all of you all to show up, because whether you know it or not, it means a lot when the residents show up in this room. Whether it's a regular council meeting, whether it's a ward meeting, whether it's a special meeting like tonight, whether it's a committee meeting. You all stop a lot of, I call it politicking. You all stop a lot of politicking that goes on, whether you know it or not. The power is in the people. We have a lot of important issues coming up, and I beg of you, I don't like to beg, but I beg of you to please show up. We have, and I know that several of us are going to be calling for several legislation that is tabled. We're going to be calling for that legislation to get took off the table. It's the chair's right of that particular committee to table whatever he or she deems fit, but also 2 council members can unseat that piece of legislation. We've already missed out on $50,000 grants. I know my time is short, but we missed out on a few issues, a few things that we can serve the people with. So I also, YouTube, the meetings are on YouTube. As you can see, they are recorded. We have 2 YouTube channels. I won't get into the reasons why we have 2, but you don't have to take anyone's word. Anything that we say, you can look up. And I ask personally, like I always do, especially to my clerk, if I'm in the wrong, please hold me accountable, which means hold all of us accountable, but I can speak for me. I want you all to hold me accountable. I want you all to look at the videos and see what's going on. It's a lot quiet in here today. That's because you guys are present. Trust me on that. You heard the young lady say that. You all know how it is. You all are the key to hold us accountable and get things done. Flat out, I appreciate it, but the applause are all you all's, because you all are the key to move this city forward. Again, you don't have to believe me, I beg of you to look at the YouTube channels, East Cleveland Council meeting. You will see how we are serving you. You will see how we are serving you. You will see who does what. You might agree with some things that we might not agree with. You might not agree with some things we agree with. I beg of you to let me know what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and please, if I'm ever doing anything negatively impact the health, interest, rights, and needs of the people, please do not ever hesitate to let me know. Also, I want to apologize for coming to the meeting late today. Some of you know, some of you don't know, but I just ask that you all keep my family in your prayers. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to thank everyone that came out to Kid and Play Thursday. As some of you know, last summer we did it every Sunday at Mayfair. This year we're going to do it every Thursday. I believe at the Civic Center we would in the Shaw parking lot, but that's a whole different politicking story right there. So we'll be using city property for now on. I just thought it would be a good thing to do things at the schools and work with them in some capacity, but everyone, politics, I can't stand it. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Brother Smith. I rise to speak and I'll be very brief.
Hey, Mr. Patrick.
Oh, Shirley, can you hear me?
You have to unmute, Mr. Fitzpatrick, sorry.
Shirley?
Wait. We can't, you're muted. There you go.
All right, Shirley.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got 3 minutes, Shirley. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple of things. Number one, the sound system that you guys are using is a disadvantage to anybody that's on Zoom. Councilman Smith was saying something about YouTube. How can anybody understand anything? Half the stuff is muted, we can't hear it. Today was a great presentation today, but half the stuff we couldn't hear. And I don't think it's fair. I think before the next council meeting, you guys should do some testing of this sound system. If you pay for it out of ARCO money or whatever, the mayor's always talking about COVID. A lot of us aren't coming to the meetings because of COVID. But at the same time, we're being disadvantaged because we cannot hear and it's not fair. Number two, what are some of the amenities for what the Metro Park's gonna do for Forest Hills? Keeps talking about amenities, but what exactly are these amenities? And number three, what are we gonna do about Ward 4? Everything is Ward 2. You said something is happening in Ward 3, but we're not hearing anything about Ward 4. And that's not fair either. So that's all I need to say.
Thank you. I rise to speak. I want to thank you all for coming out. I've been here now 30 years. 30 years. This is my second time being president. I think we have a solid group. It's a challenge to do this. Believe me, it's truly a challenge. You came in here, but you didn't want the fact that we're having this area renovated. All of this is being renovated by the Amish people. They're doing great work. In the next couple of months, it's going to be beautiful. Even these screens, they can't hear the audio real well, but the screens are brand new. Okay? So we're moving in the right direction. I'm excited about what took place today. The Forest Hill Preservation Association, thank you guys for maintaining the park. You know what, there's a paradox in the situation, the fact that we don't have the money, almost all the natural stuff is in place. So if we get Metro in here to manage it right really well, we will have a place where people will be coming all over to come right in an urban setting. So I feel good about that. I also want to say that we took we took a chance and we paid Brewster and Lee Road. Do you like that? Clap! It's been years and years, but we said we don't do a lot up on the hill, but we did that. And I rode past every day and I said, it's looking pretty good. Okay? I want to thank you. And I will close with this. All this is about voting. Rehoboth mentioned you about voting August 2nd. You've got to vote. It's all about voting. The new young lady just took office a couple of days ago, Ketanji Brown Jackson. The process is she's there because people voted to get her there. So do not take that for granted. I reach out to you and say to you, talk to your neighbors about voting. Now, what's happening is, when is the last time in the last 15, 20 years we had a vote in August? So don't forget, we do vote August 2nd. God bless you. Pray for us. We don't always get along, but we get through it for the most part, and I have respect for everybody up here. We don't always get along, but I have respect. And I've learned over years that sometimes listening does make a difference, but I also know that praying makes a big difference. Thank you very much. I've spoken. Thank you.
I'd like to make a
Okay, I will accept the motion for adjournment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, guys. Okay?